He spent 19 years behind bars for a crime he didn't commit. Now Joseph White is back home in Holly Pond, ready to tell his story. In many ways, Joseph White lived an ordinary small-town life growing up near Holly Pond, Alabama. But in 1989, his life would take a dramatic turn. That's the year White was arrested and charged with a heinous crime, the murder and rape of a 68-year-old woman in Beatrice, Nebraska. It would be a typical crime story with one exception. White didn't do it.
They had blood evidence, they had biological evidence, they had fingerprints. They never matched it to anybody.
Still, witnesses testified that White was one of the men responsible for raping and killing Helen Wilson. White says they were just trying to avoid the death penalty for their own crimes.
Those people, as I've known all along, were threatened with the death penalty, just like I was. And they were told that if they plea bargained and testified, because they'd already brought a plea bargain to me and I told them where they could put it. Told them if they testified, they'd work a deal with them.
He also said his trial took place during harvest season, a time when the rural Nebraska jury was in too big a hurry to get back to their jobs.
These are the people that were on the jury, and they were more worried about getting back and getting the community taken care of than they were about guilt or innocence. I mean, these people said this guy did these horrific things. He must have. He read the sentence, life without parole, and I was shuffled from there straight into a police car and taken to the penitentiary.
In prison, White said his faith, community, and family helped him keep his head up despite the injustice. He became a mentor in prison, helping other convicts get acclimated to the system.
I'm a Holly Pond, Rough Edge, Union Grove born and bred member of the White family. I'm ornery. And like I was telling Patrick earlier, you can't win a fight against a white. You may beat a feller down, you may knock him down, knock him off his feet time and again. My family has always stood with me. My community has always stood with me. Around here, if you belong to the community, the members of the church, the high school, the people who work in the cafes, the stores, and everything around here, people I've grown up with, people that have known me since I was a youngster, people who were born after I left that were just told about me. They looked at me as one of theirs. They're my family, and I'm theirs.
Worst of all, he missed the final years of many of his relatives' lives, and he never got the chance to raise his own son.
And I've been able to visit most of those graves and say my farewells, but it just isn't the same without him around. Another thing I missed, I've got a son, he's 20 years old. I was taken just after his first birthday. I was sentenced on his second birthday. Missing him growing up. Never got to teach him how to ride a bike. Never got to teach him how to throw a baseball, throw a pass, or make a pass for that matter. Never got to teach him how to drive a car. The major moments in a child's life I've missed. And And that's one of my biggest regrets.
Still, White seems to hold little resentment after spending so much time in prison.
It's not about getting angry. It's about learning to understand who you are. And once you understand who you are, then nobody can take that away from you.
Last week, after nearly 2 decades behind bars, White was released from the Nebraska State Penitentiary because DNA tests proved he was innocent. It's the first case in Nebraska history where a prisoner was released because of DNA evidence. Now he wants to get quickly back on his feet.
My mom practically won't let me out of her sight. In fact, the only reason that I'm sitting here right now is because I got the only vehicle that runs and they gone. She keeps telling people she got to go by and touch me and hit me on the arm, make sure I'm still here and not just a figment of her imagination. Working on getting the car up and running so I'll have some transportation, get a job and start putting some money together so that I can finish paying off my lawyer. And
he's also learned how much the world has changed since 1989, and he appreciates today's emphasis on environmental issues.
Multitude of information sources and communication sources that are out there for one-on-one conversations or one-on-group conversations. The hybrid cars, the move toward environmental repair is something that should have happened 30 years ago.
For now, he's just anxious to re-enter society and enjoy his newfound freedom.
I could sponge off the community, but that's not who I am. I've got to have a job. I've got to have my money so that I can go out there and take care of myself without having to depend on people, because I've depended too much on their love over the years.